And welcome in on this Monday. Time for the daily show on dating and relationships with Coach K. How are you doing today? Hey, everybody. I'm Kisa. I'm so excited to be here. You would just think like I really had something huge going on, right? I don't. But the fact that I get the opportunity to spend time with you and to talk to you, that means so much to me. So, hey, everybody, I'm Kisa and I'm Coach K. And let me start off with something a little fun for you this evening. I saw this and I was like, I've got to start off with this tonight because this is just so fun. This is so fun, fun, fun. Okay, are you all familiar with this little dance? Do you know how to do this?
Falling, dreaming, talking in your sleep. I know you want to cry all night.
Oh, this is so cute.
Shouting, screaming, falling, dreaming, talking in your sleep. I know you want to cry all night. Shouting.
That was so cute, y'all. Okay, enough of that. Enough of that. Welcome in tonight, hey, to the daily talk show on dating, on relationships. Who am I? Well, I'm glad you asked. I am Kisa and I am Coach K, okay? I am a media and communications veteran, okay? I'm a certified life coach and I am the chief product maker and marketer behind the brand All Shea Naturals. So that's a little bit about what I do and who I am. And let me show you my website in case you want to contact me or see what I'm about. You can go on the website and get more of an idea about what I offer. Because again, coming up in just 2 years, 2026, it'll be 30 years in the communications business. I came here in 1996 to begin in the news business. And I've called Birmingham home ever since. It's been one of the best decisions and have just felt the love here and just have it in my heart that I want to do everything to see Birmingham and the people in the community just be everything that they want to be. So one of the ways that I do that is through my life coaching programs. Okay. And another thing is I understand that not everybody can afford life coaches. So I never try to make this about money, but support is always huge for me. So if you want to help me, or if I say anything or teach anything that resonates with you in this dating arena and relationship arena, the only thing that I ask you to do, the only two or three things I ask you to do, well, three, make it three, sorry, and it won't go up from there, I promise. But the only three things that I ask you to do, I ask you to like the broadcast, I ask you to share the broadcast, and I ask you to comment on the broadcast, or you can do one or the other. Like, share, comment. It is one of the things that means so much to us, so we can just encourage more people along the dating arena. And let me tell you why I got started as I talk about our topic tonight, which is relationship red flags. I'm going to be on here every night at 6 p.m. You all are showing up. So I'm going to come on and I'm going to show up with you and I'm going to talk with you. So we started this journey talking about narcissism and the devastating effects of narcissism in relationships and dating. And I will let you know that I'm going to continue that conversation very consistently, but it's going to be over on my YouTube channel, okay? Because there is an audience for that. There is a space for that. And there are people who need help and who are in the throes of that and need to know how to get out of it, need to know how to be on guard against it because it can have some devastating effects. So you can look up my name. I'm Kisa Shea Sharpe, Sharpe, Kisa Shea Sharpe. And on YouTube, we're going to be teaching on narcissism and emotional abuse recovery. Okay. Just recovering from all of those dating and relationship items that cause trauma. So you can follow me on YouTube. Okay. For some of my videos that deal very specifically and very directly with that. So we began here on this channel a little over a month ago talking about narcissism. We continued into looking what men and women want in relationships. Okay. Now, ladies, you showed up for the guys. Now, guys, I'm going to get on you today and just say As ladies, we're not feeling the love as much, but I know that I have some male supporters out there. So I'm gonna need you to show us some love because I know you're out there. Because the ladies came, they showed up to hear what you all had to say over these past couple of weeks, okay? And I'm going to tell you, hang in here with me because I've got an announcement coming up about that very, very soon. And you know what? Let me go ahead and just tell you, we're going to continue the conversation in that arena. We're going to regularly talk to our men and women about relationships. So, this is the time for me to tell you that if you have someone who you think would be a great guest, I'd love to hear from them because we're going to continue that conversation. It wasn't enough to just feature women for a week and feature men for a meek for a week. We need to continue the conversation. So, we're going to continue that. So, stay tuned for details to that. And for that, kicking off in October, we're going to hear from our men regularly about what they want in relationships, okay? And also our women about what they want and need in relationships. So stay tuned for that. But before we get there, here I'm going to lay a groundwork and continue the conversation over these next couple of weeks while we prepare as we officially launch some things here on this channel coming up in the fall season. But we're going to lay a groundwork again as we get ready to hear from the men, as we get ready to hear from the women, very specifically and very consistently. So, what we're going to do is we are going to look at relationship red flags. OMG. Have you ever seen any relationship red flags? Tonight, we're going to talk an overview. Okay. We're going to talk an overview about what are relationship red flags. And listen, I don't mean to be insulting. I want you to understand that, but I go back and I have the type of mentality that looks to break everything down. Like I'm like some things that I teach are just so simplistic because what I've found is it's not me giving you deep, heavy, overwhelming revelation that leads to change. It's someone just being consistently in your ear as a coach saying, you see that. It's not the overwhelming things. You see that. You're dealing with that. I know you're dealing with that. And you don't have to deal with that. It's just that little subtle coaching day in and day out that moves us to change. So I don't, I want to explain that even though I may not bring hard, heavy, deep, profound, exceeding revelation, we oftentimes don't need that. We oftentimes just need to act on that simple revelation, on that simple word, and that simple instruction, which will pivot our lives to the good. Let me say that again. We often don't need the big, profound revelation, this, oh my God, did you hear what she said? The Bible even talks about it. There's really nothing new under the sun. So I'm not saying anything that's new that other coaches haven't said or that you won't hear out there on the internet. What I strive to do is to be that person who's in your ear, encouraging you, who's coming to you and encouraging you to think differently, encouraging you to act differently. And once we start working with the mind, and once we start being encouraged to act differently and think differently, we create a different experience for ourselves. Does that make sense to somebody? We create a different experience for ourselves once we think differently and act differently. And I don't know about you, there's some things I understand that I need to do as it relates to eating and as it relates to making decisions in my health. But the way that I do it from a better perspective if it's constantly going. Like in eating vegan, I'm constantly watching videos about recipes. I'm constantly watching YouTube shorts. I'm constantly watching Facebook reels about eating better. I'm constantly watching because that information is helping me to continue to make good decisions, especially, hear me out, especially if I've had a pattern in the past of making bad decisions. I even more so need to hear the right thing to do. Not that I don't know, but it's a matter of reprogramming. So as it relates to relationships, it's not that you don't know the right thing to do, but sometimes we're creatures of habit. Sometimes our subconscious can be in more authority and more rule than what we think it is. So we're continuing to choose things. We're continuing to choose people, even in some instances when we know it's not right. But just because we are creatures of habit and programming, we need a reprogramming. All of us, I'm including myself in that as well. And I'm also going to say in this dating arena, it's not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily better. It's just different. And we're just programming ourselves with information and tools to handle the difference. Does that make sense? Rachel, I see you on here. Thank you for being on here. And to all of you who are on here, I want to acknowledge you. Yes, me too, Rachel. Yes, I've seen relationship red flags and I have ignored them. I appreciate your honesty. And Rachel, if we were all to tell the truth, most of us have done exactly that. But you know what? The mind has a beautiful, beautiful way of programming for us that which we consistently expose ourselves to. So that's why I'm on here consistently exposing you, consistently exposing myself to good information, sound information. I don't expect you to agree with everything. I'll be honest with you. I don't expect you to agree with everything, but I do take responsibility for putting the information in the atmosphere. You have to choose what you do with it, okay? You have to choose that. All right, so let's get into it right now. Let's go ahead and we're going to do an introduction tonight before we actually get into all of the red flags, okay? And I'd love to hear from you too. Like, what do you think are some relationship red flags? What would you say are some relationship red flags? I'd love to hear from you. So here's what we're talking about. You know what it is, but let me just again, I'm the sister as a news reporter. One of the things that I would do, I would go and you go and all reporters do this. We go to an event, we go to cover a story, and we get all this information, okay? And we're charged with taking all this information and bringing it and breaking it down real simple, real clear, real profound, so everybody can digest it. I mean, like we've got to pull from all these different sources, right? That's what I do. All right. So that's what I'm doing here. What is a relationship red flag? It's posted on the screen there, and you're able to see that um, Jennifer Keisman, a licensed clinical, and that's from today.com, by the way. I'm real big on this, but she is a licensed clinical social worker and therapist in Chicago. She defines it as a behavior or trait or value that shows your future incompatibility with a person. Oh, I always gave the benefit of the doubt, not anymore. Rachel, it sounds to me like you're learning your lesson. That's exactly what I've done. And do you know women are pretty bad about doing that? We give the benefit of the doubt when people show us who they are. So if I can encourage you and encourage us in any way, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ignored those red flags in men and or women, let's not give them the benefit of the doubt anymore. People show you who they are, okay? They show you who they are. What's a red flag? A red flag, and I'm going to come back to this, Rachel, as I close out today, because this will just be an introduction tonight. But a relationship red flag, Jennifer Keisman, a licensed clinical social worker, says it's a behavior or a trait that shows your future incompatibility with a person. Wow, it's really that simple. That's what a relationship red flag is. This can be anything from someone having a history of infidelity to conflicting lifestyles and beyond. What are some of the red flags that you all have seen in relationships? I'm going to cover some of them over these next couple of weeks. So, what are some of the relationship red flags that you've seen? And the question I have for you, did you see the red flags early on or no? Because the red flags are there for a reason. When you see, help me out. Am I here by myself? And I happen to have on a red t shirt tonight, okay, to graphically illustrate what I'm talking about. So, oh, I love this conversation. Let me break from here before I get back there. Rachel, I love you talking to me tonight because let me even come through right here and coach you in this as I coach myself. And I've had to coach myself from this. I always gave the benefit of the doubt. And what I see in giving the benefit of the doubt, and if you all disagree with me, you can disagree because this is a conversation, meaning it's two-way. But tell me what you think about this. Rachel says she always gave the benefit of the doubt. Not anymore. Kisa has given the benefit of the doubt. But here's what I've learned, that when people show you who they are, you and me, we got to believe them. Because what happens is, if you just give them a space of time, they're going to show you who they are. You and I listen to other coaches. I'm gonna give him credit for this because I don't just get on here and just talk out of the side of my neck and head. No, I'm always listening to this. I'm always listening to other coaches and getting their perspective, not as to copy them, but as to just make sure I keep myself educated. I allow others to teach me. And one of the coaches that I really, really like, and I don't know what the coaches think about it, but I just try to give credit where credit is due. That's right, Rachel. Believe them because people will show you who they are. Just give it a space of time, give it a little while. And if if there's rarely a person out there that you're ever going to say they're too good to be true. That doesn't happen in this day and age right now. That, oh, they're just too good to be true. That doesn't happen because everybody has an issue. Tony Gaskin talks about God, I lost my thought, and we'll have to bring that thought back. But believe them when they show you who they are. Okay, believe them. And let me tell you what he shared, which I thought was so good. And sometimes women make this mistake. I don't know that men make this mistake because I think guys are very clear on their boundaries. And if I have any gentlemen on here, and even if you're listening to the replay, when you listen to the replay, let me know if I'm correct on this. I think guys are very firm in their boundaries. I think they're very boundaried when it comes to relationships. So I believe that a lot of times if a woman does something that they don't like, they're out of there. Now, what they may do is they may kind of hover in your arena and still kind of keep you there just in case or to entertain them every now and then. But when there's something that's clear to them, oftentimes they don't like, they're really out of there. Or either they're very well at dialing it back, but just kind of keeping you over there. I think just kind of reserving a space. That's been my experience. It's like when they're not really interested, but they're not fully letting you go. So what is that? That means I don't see a future with this. When guys start dialing it back, this is my interpretation. I may be wrong. Guys, if I'm wrong, let me know. But when they start dialing it back, they see something and they're like, we're not going to be compatible. Guys are real good about dialing it back. Okay, but they may still hover, may take you out to dinner, may still text you every 3 weeks, hey, what's up? As opposed to every day or whatever, whatever. So it's like they just start dialing back, but they still kind of keep you around. Whereas women, sometimes we can see, okay, this isn't right. But we begin to start rationalizing and making excuses when we see the red flag. We say, well, maybe it's just me. Nobody's perfect. Tony Gaskin says this. You have, and this is going to be controversial, brace yourselves. Okay. This will be controversial. And I'm specifically speaking to those who are dating, because for those of you who are married, this would probably not apply, okay? Or you would have to determine how it would apply. So the rules of engagement are going to be a little bit different if you're married, okay? This is specifically speaking to those of us who are in the dating arena, okay? But he says specifically that you have two, maximum three times to allow a guy to get away with a behavior. I'm paraphrasing what he said. If you want more information, I encourage you to look him up. I watch what he says because I think he just gives sound information on guys. I'm a woman. I don't know how guys think. I know how I interpret guys' actions, but I don't know how they think and what drives them all the time. So I'm always trying to listen and make sure I get that and understand that because I don't think like a man, okay? I think like a woman because that's what I am. But he says you have two, maximum three times to correct a behavior with a guy. If a guy does that behavior a third time, after you've talked to him, after you've asked him to stop, after you've explained why it offends you or why it's not going to work with you, he says at that point, you really should be looking at making a hard choice to abandon ship or to leave that guy alone. That's from another guy. That may be controversial and that may explain some things, but that was kind of groundbreaking to me because how many empaths am I connected to out there? Empath over here. I'm an empath with healthy boundaries, but I'm certainly an empath. And as ladies, we're nurturing, we're concerned, we're compassionate, but it's those sorts of traits that will allow you to linger in situations and overlook red flags and continue on in a situation that could be detrimental to you. Because this is what I want to say, and I want to preface everything by saying this. And I wanted to come on and just talk to you from the heart first before I literally go through. I have a coaches and teachers thing on me, so I'm very strategic and very practical when I communicate. I'm not even necessarily trying to come on and give you something groundbreaking, but I am giving you a reminder about taking the right path. I'm giving us reminders on taking the right path. But the reason that red flags exist, and I want you to listen to me real good, whether you're here live or listening to the replay, red flags exist. Red flags exist. Red, color red, because it means stop. It doesn't always mean abort mission, but it means stop. Take a look at it, reevaluate it, make some changes, or make a turn. It doesn't mean you speed. And what happens if you speed through red lights? You might get away with it once and be okay. I saw a gentleman yesterday when I was driving coming in. I saw a gentleman, he just sped through a red light, and I thought, God, he just missed that. He just was doing something, or he just misinterpreted. And because what if a car had been coming trying to make the light while he's speeding through? What if a car had been coming at the same time? But thank goodness for the mercy of God that we don't always get what we deserve. But now if he keeps on playing that game, at some point you're playing Russian roulette. At some point you're going to get caught. You understand, if he in the future doesn't pay attention, or he likes to speed through red lights because it's exciting to him. Unfortunately, if that person keeps on doing this, teaching purposes only. If this person keeps on doing that, there is a chance that he's going to suffer some harm. Okay? As illustrated, when we see red flags in relationships, if we're going to continue to push past them, well, Kisa, what do you mean when you say red flags? I mean behavior that can be dangerous to you, because red flags always indicate that there is danger ahead. Flag on the play. Stop. Don't go forward. Analyze that. Let's pull aside. Because if we don't, it's injurious. And ladies, I'm going to just say this. This isn't for my guys, because I believe guys can be very well boundaried. But ladies, we can't love a guy. We can't love someone into treating us right. We can't nurture someone into treating us right. That has to be an ability, and that has to be a desire that's on the inside of them. If I can tell you anything tonight, the blessing would be taking the lesson, taking the example that they give, taking the actions that they show, and acting upon that. Not just what they say, but what are they showing you? If they're showing you love, you'll know it. If they're not, reconsider, see the red flag, and determine if you want to go forward, or determine how you want to go forward. An example out of my own life. I have a situation in which I'm dealing with someone who's a business partner, and they expressed some things to me, but the way they expressed it, they were very disrespectful. And I said, we can only be, I'm only going to deal with that person from a business perspective. Well, they don't really like that. I think they're upset with me because I basically said, no, I'm not interested in anything else, and we're not going to have anything else. But that's my boundary. I'm not going to cross my boundary anymore. Just allowing people to keep doing and keep being and keep disrespecting. Because if you keep on doing it, and Tony Gaskin says this too, he says men are risk takers. So men are going to keep pushing. They keep pushing the boundary. They keep pushing to see how much they can get away with. That may be wrong. And listen, these are generalizations. It may not be every man. But my experience has found that is somewhat true. People if a person, takers don't say, I'm a taker, I'm not going to take any more from you. Takers don't say, I wish they did. I'm a taker. You're a giver. So tired of taking from you. So you know what? I'm going to give you a break today. I'm just not going to take from you today. Takers don't do that. Empaths and givers, they don't do that, ladies. Takers do what they do, which is take. So you have to be the person who sets the boundaries in place, or who says, you know what? Here's the boundary. You've reached the boundary. You can go no farther. This is it. You have to be responsible for doing that. What do you say, Rachel? Empath, most definitely here. Yeah, Rachel, I get you on that one. Okay. Empath here too. And I like what you said too, Rachel. You said, I'm not getting younger and need to learn these things ASAP. The beautiful thing is, just as long as we have breath in our body, beautiful thing is, just as long as we're here, we have a chance to get it right. We have a chance to do it again. So, no condemnation, but let's get it right. Come on, Rachel. Let's get it right. Let's do it. Let's be empaths with healthy boundaries. Not empaths with no boundaries, but empaths with healthy boundaries. That's a beautiful thing. To quote my friend Antonio Boswell, he was on, and if you all have not had a chance to listen to the Men Speak series that we had last week, what mature men want in relationships, that was so good. I went, and not only did I record those, so I heard them that time, but I went back and I would listen to each of them, okay, again, a second time, to just hear, to really hear what they had to say and to get it in me, because those guys really came from a very sincere perspective and really gave some great information. Great information. Yeah, healthy boundaries are the key, aren't they, Rachel? Healthy boundaries. So this is what I say. You and I, we are empaths with healthy boundaries. How about that? We're changing the narrative because we can, and we have an opportunity to do so. And you do too. If that's something that you struggle with, you still have a chance. And I'm going to say, even to those of you who are in relationships, and it may be even a little more serious than dating. This is targeted to those who are dating, but if you're married, if you are in a serious relationship with someone, you still have an opportunity. You have to pray and ask God for wisdom on how to do it, but you still have an opportunity to make a change. Okay. I don't want to be the one. I would never tell anyone to end their marriage. That is a personal decision, and a covenant that you entered into. That's something that you would need to pray about and ask the Lord for his wisdom regarding. Let's do it. Empaths with healthy boundaries. So again, for those of you who may be in marriages or whatever, my heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you. But I will say it. I've said it before here in this setting. I'll say it again. There is a way out. There is a way out. The Bible says that for every temptation, test, and trial, he provides a way of escape. It may not be divorce. God can speak to that husband. God can speak to that wife. He can speak to that spouse. He can change the heart of that spouse. So I'm not saying that you divorce or anything. That is not what I'm saying. Please do not hear that. But I am saying there's a way out. The solution may lie with you. You may need to get counseling. You may need to reinvent your life and reinvent your life around you or your children or your family, extended family. You may need to reinvent your life. There is always a way out, a healthy way out, or a healthy way to respond. God always has an ingenuity and a wisdom, no matter what situation that we face. And so I'm not one who's discouraged by what I'm seeing in the dating scene at all, because I understand God. This does not catch God by surprise. I think we're all just like, oh my gosh, the dating scene is awful. What's going on? I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that, because this didn't catch God by surprise. So one of the things that I think that we need to be asking him is, God, what's your mind on the matter? And not only what is your mind on the matter, how do we work through this? How do we navigate this change? Change is my jam. I'm a life change strategist. I'm a life coach, and I'm all things life coach, all things change as it relates to any area of your life. Navigating change, that is my jam. And this is a change. But with God, nothing is impossible. He's already seen the way. He already knows how we need to turn. He already knows what steps we need to take. So if you're believing God for a spouse, if you're believing God for a mate, he can still do that. Even in this dating, even in this topsy-turvy dating arena, God hasn't changed. Even though everything else is changing and shifting, God has not changed. He is El Elyon. He is the most high God. So that means all this dating stuff, all this change, all this turbulence we're seeing and connecting, And the reason I'm here is I want to be a conversation starter. I want to be a person who allows us to talk through our issues, because the conversation and the is where the healing begins. I believe that. The conversation is where healing begins. Hearing, not blaming, not being angry, but trying to listen at the place of understanding. So I'm Kisa. I'm Coach K. That's all I wanted to share with you tonight. So we're going to dive in for the rest of this week. We're going to dive in and have some segments, not long, but we're going to talk about relationship red flags. I'm going to give you some reminders because we're entering into a new season, in the fall season. Some of you are going to be dating. You're going to be going on dates and meeting new people. I just sense that. I sense it as we get into a new season. So here's something that's going to prepare you, whether you're watching it tonight or whether you're watching it weeks or months or even years after this initial broadcast. I pray that this is a blessing to you. And I pray for every one of you as you enter into your new season, because a new season is not just a time on the calendar. A new season is just whatever you're entering into that's different for your life. So that's why this could still be, this is relevant at any time. I tune in and I see people who have made videos 3 and 4 years ago, and it feels just like they're talking to me today. That's the beauty of social media. It feels just like they're talking to me and they made that video for me today. It doesn't change. There is no distance and space in the spirit. So the words that God utters for us, that's why the Bible is living and true and fresh, because with the Bible, it was done thousands of years ago, but it's still fresh, it's still relevant, it still speaks. That's why I do this, because it will still speak even after the broadcast, much later than the original broadcast. So I'm always going to leave you with these words: you be encouraged, regardless of what phase you're in, whether you're ending a relationship, whether you're beginning a relationship, whether you're facing a major crossroad in a relationship. Be encouraged. You submit your request unto God. You submit your supplication unto Him. You get information and then you go accordingly. And for someone out there who's dealing with fear, fear just comes from lack of information or bad experiences. That's why you fear, because you've had a bad experience or you don't have enough information. Well, here's the deal. When you walk by faith and not by sight, that means you can't walk by the past experience. That means you can't walk by that. I'm not saying to ignore it. I'm not saying to not acknowledge it. But what I'm saying is don't allow it to stop you from moving forward. We walk by faith and not by sight. And the Bible says to have faith in God, not in your circumstances, you don't have faith in what happened back there. You don't have faith in that failed relationship. And you don't say all men. You don't say all women. You don't say everybody. You don't say all relationships. You don't say that, because your trust is not in what is seen in this earthly realm. Your faith, talking to my faith people, my word of faith people, Bible believers, your faith is in Him. His thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are not our ways. His time is not on our time. You have faith in God. There's this actress, cannot think of her name right now, but she is 52 years old. And she said, I stayed single for so long. I was single for so many different seasons. And she said, the gentleman that I'm dating right now, he was married, and she said, I never crossed that boundary, but we were always great friends. Who would have thought at age 52, he's divorced. Who would have thought that we would be married, that he was being prepared for me, even in all of that? She said, I didn't cross the boundary. I didn't try to talk to him or do anything, while he was, while he was married, but he's divorced now. And she said, I would always think, man, he's such a great guy. I'm just hopeful that I would have somebody like that. So sometimes your story doesn't look typical. It doesn't look average. But you listen to all the people who have a wonderful story. I look at Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey and his wife Marjorie. The third time was it for both of them. Both had been married twice before they met and fell in love with each other. What if they'd given up? What if they'd given up? So, you know the moral of the story, don't give up on love. And I don't, this is a secular song, so I don't know all the words, but Luther Vandross talks about wait for love. Mm. You're gonna get your chance to love. Wait for love, wait for love. It if it takes a long time, I'm just thinking about some of the words. Amen, Rachel. Amen. Wait for love. Oh wow, Rachel, we're the same age, 52. Be encouraged, honey. I'm single too. And one of the things that I'm gonna give you a transparent moment here. Sometimes we can try to rush the process. And when we rush the process and do it our way, it ends up in failure. So, would I rather have had divorce a part of my track record, or would I have rather been patient and just waited? So, I have to think about those things now. Sometimes we try to rush it because we're trying to do things based on what everyone else is doing or based on what we think is best for our lives. I don't have any condemnation. I have no shame because my story is my story. My life is my life. I just have no shame. And I believe that God will take everything and create beauty for ashes with my story. And I believe that He's going to do the same thing. In fact, I'm believing that He's going to do the same thing for you. Believing He's going to do the same thing for you. We get too discouraged. When God is bigger. Apparently they love to drive right around this time their motorcycles and make all this noise because they know Kisa's on live. So sorry about all that noise of people going back and forth here in the city center. But yeah, sometimes I think about it, not long, but I think, man, if you just waited. Sometimes we're rushing because we think we have to have all these things. And then, we get into things and then we have to believe God to heal us from the mistakes. Whereas sometimes waited, if you just waited, you can really be ready. All of us mature at a different rate. All of us mature at a different speed. There are things I know now at 52 that I didn't know at 40. I didn't know at 45. I didn't know, definitely not at 25, but it doesn't mean it can't be just as beautiful. Your story is your story. It's unique and individual. Your timeline is your timeline, not mine, not anybody else's. So be encouraged with that. We are 50 and fabulous. And watch out for relationship red flags. As we become more mature, we know better. So therefore, we should do better. That what it means when we say do better, we should make better decisions, choose a better course. That's where I am right now. Make better decisions, choose a better course. Maybe tonight was just to encourage. I had no thought whatsoever to come on and and teach tonight. I really just wanted to encourage and really preview. So be encouraged, everyone. We're going to take off and just spend a few minutes each night talking about relationship red flags because we're going somewhere, apparently. We're going somewhere. Like I pray and ask the Lord, what do you want me to teach? We're going somewhere. Okay. So hang in with me. Your support is always appreciated. To all of my friends out there, I'll see you tomorrow night, 6 o'clock each night. We're talking relationship red flags over these next couple of weeks. We're going to acknowledge those red flags and we're going to stay out of relationship trouble. Okay. All right. We'll see you all later. See you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Of course, I am Kisa. I am Coach K. For those of you who want to be able to contact me, all you have to do is go to my website. Yep. Go to my website, take a look. I offer coaching programs, but you can just kind of look around and see some of the things that we offer. Okay. Hope you have a super fantastic day. See you tomorrow at